Growing up as a kid in the 90s, there were three popular Marvel superheroes that I remember the most: The Incredible Hulk, Spider-Man, and Wolverine. If there wasn't some kid pretending they could stick to walls and shoot webs out of their hands, there was a kid thinking he had super strength. But one thing that I remember the most were kids putting pencils between their fingers, pretending they were just like Wolverine. For any kid, having these three popular characters on the big screen would be something worth seeing. In the year 2000, we would get the first on-screen adaptation of Wolverine, played by none other than Hugh Jackman. So today I want to explore the X-Men movies throughout the 2000s and 2010s. But I'll really just be focusing on the 7 movies where Wolverine is either a leading character or has a main role. I'll be reviewing each one in chronological order according to his story. So before we get to the good, unfortunately, we'll have to start with X-Men Origins Wolverine. This movie gets a ton of hate, understandably so. Compared to the X-Men movie series as a whole, it's just not really good.
That shit is fucking trash, dog. Get the fuck off the airway.
The movie starts off strong by introducing us to a young James Howlett and Victor Creed, and establishes 3 important things in the opening scene. 1, what triggered James's mutation. 2, that he and Victor are half brothers. And 3, who James's father really is. That's good. I like that. Although the 2 characters being related does deviate from the original comics, I'll take it. The story goes on to show a montage of adult Logan and Victor fighting alongside one another from the Civil War to the Vietnam War. I thought this was a good way to show how both characters practically don't age and are different than the world around them. This is also good. A great example of show, don't tell. I also like this. Unfortunately, once they introduce William Stryker, the movie starts to become extremely poor. You know, the idea of seeing a different team of mutants other than the original X-Men is pretty cool. So you would think introducing Team X should be a slam dunk, right?
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it. Not this time. No.
The biggest gripe that I have with seeing these characters on the big screen is that I really didn't get enough time to see these characters on the big screen. I understand this is a Wolverine movie, but it would have been nice to get a few scenes that show how Stryker found the other mutants. Think about it. You have characters like Wade Wilson and Blob on the team. 2 mutants that were well known, if you kept up with the cartoons and the comics. You mean to tell me we couldn't have gotten 30 minutes more of the movie just to flesh out these characters? But now that I think about it, maybe seeing too much more of this movie wouldn't have been a good idea. So yeah, let's just move on. Since this is an origin story, seeing Logan get his adamantium claws and become the Wolverine was a really good touch. But unfortunately, this was yet another scene that was extremely rushed. Logan getting his claws is if not the defining moment of the character as a whole. It's what makes him Wolverine. The Weapon X program was described as a very traumatic and excruciating process. Before this movie, we had only seen glimpses of what that experience was like for Logan. Cartoons, previous X-Men movies, and comics showed just enough to get us ready to see the whole process play out. Instead, we get a quick watered down version with terrible dialogue and bad CGI. Oh, and we'll get to the bad CGI soon. Trust me. Let's talk about the pacing a little more for a bit, because that's one aspect of the film that makes it suffer. Most of the scenes were rushed and hardly given time for us as an audience to take in what we were seeing. It was Logan grows up, loses girlfriend, gets metal claws, finds out he was lied to, fights the big bad, loses memory, and that's the end of the film. Of course, there are other details in between that, but it really doesn't matter because we didn't have any time to really care. But despite all those issues, the biggest crime this movie makes is what they did to the character of Deadpool.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
You know what? I'm not going to even call him that. I'm going to call him by his government name, Weapon 11. Even though I wasn't entirely familiar with the character of Deadpool, when I saw this movie in theaters back in 2008, one thing was very, very clear to me. That is definitely not Deadpool. He definitely doesn't shoot lasers out of his eyes. And he definitely doesn't have two blades that come out of his hands. And I'm pretty sure that's not how his healing factor works. Most of all, he's known as the Merc with the mouth. Where's the mouth? The only redeeming part of Weapon 11 being on screen was seeing his head get cut off. Which, spoiler alert, if this ends up being true, apparently there's a rumor that he's going to be coming back as Headpool in the upcoming Deadpool and Wolverine movie, which should be pretty cool to see. Unfortunately, the origin of Wolverine was very subpar to say the least. I think some things that could have made the film at least somewhat good would have been including more practical effects, clean up the CGI a bit, flesh out the characters, and completely cut out the Weapon 11 storyline. There are a ton of other things wrong with the film, but suffice to say, I wasn't all that bored when I watched it. I think that has a lot to do with Hugh Jackman's performance as Logan and Liev Schreiber as Victor Creed. I thought each actor did their best with what they were given, and it showed. Would I recommend this one if you haven't seen any X-Men movies? Not really, because some of the events in the movie don't really align with the other films. I could see the casual viewer being confused by what they're watching. But if you want some decent action and see Hugh Jackman play this iconic role, give it a go. If I had to give it a rating, I don't know, I'd go a solid 4 out of 10. So what'd you think about X-Men Origins Wolverine? Did you hate it? Did you love it? Let me know in the comments below. I want to thank everyone for watching. Remember to subscribe for more reviews like this, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Ooh, shiny. Tell me something, Jimmy. Do you even know how to kill me? I'm gonna cut your goddamn head off. See if that works.